Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, it's Josh Seth, aka AskJoshy on YouTube, and here we have another StarCraft 2 beta commentary sponsored by PokerDiscounts.com. You know the deal by now. If you're going to be playing online poker in the near future, please use that service to help you sign up and save some money in the long run. And the game here today is between TTOne, the blue Protoss down here on the bottom left of Blistering Sands, and MorroW, the Swedish Terran player up here in the top right. And MorroW, of course, being ranked #1 right now on GoSuGamers.net, their tournament rankings. He's got the most points, he's got the best finishes, and the best number of wins and everything. So right now the only player looking to topple him before release is OGS Tester, who is a Korean Protoss player playing in the Day 9 King of the Beta tournament. I think that's pretty much the last tournament they're going to be doing ratings for on pre-release tournaments. So MorroW kind of hoping he does poorly. Actually, I guess it doesn't really matter too much. GoSuGamers did just kind of pick and choose which tournaments they're going to look at and which they weren't going to award any points for. But MorroW, of course, with that 35-13 tournament record, shown himself to be an extremely good tournament player, and this is actually a best of 3 being played with TTOne for a Team Fnatic versus Team Mouse clan war, and that took place earlier this week. And I chose not to show the rest of MorroW versus Chef. There actually, one of those other games was already cast by someone else, and the other game just wasn't very interesting, so we're moving on to TTOne, and this game is pretty good. So, hope you guys enjoy it. Looks like TTOne is going to be doing, I don't even know what to call this anymore, except for incredibly standard, like the Protoss build. It's one gateway, followed by a simulator, followed by Cybernetics Core. I've told you 100 times that this allows players to get that Cybernetics Core up and then choose what tech path they want to go based on their scouting information of the other player. And MorroW doing a very standard Terran build too, and I know that standard is going to be done to death. Like 90% of games are going to have standard openings, and then the crazy stuff is going to start happening. The other 10% are cheese games, and it'll be very, very evident if someone's going to be doing a bunker rush or proxy gate or something crazy. Like, it's just super evident immediately into the game. So standard builds are standard for a reason. They're very, very solid. They account for all situations and things like that. So both players, they've played enough games to know what works and what doesn't. So they're going to be doing what everyone else does, and that is to be expected. So MorroW walling up his front here a little bit. He did build his barracks back a little bit and then floated over just like we saw in that Chef game, and now getting his factory as soon as he hits 100 gas. Very good about that. And the probe of TTOne trying to sneak around in MorroW's base. MorroW keeping an eye on him for the time being. He doesn't want any proxy pylons scattered around his base. TTOne is actually known for doing some pretty clever warp-in stuff. So Fnatic, actually, which TTOne belongs to, is primarily North American members, though Fnatic itself is actually based in Europe, and Mouse Sports is an extremely strong StarCraft 2 lineup. They've got White Ross, Straylock, MorroW, and just lots of really good players. They're probably going to be the top European team for a long, long time until we see some new faces after release. But TTOne dropping that pylon here, this will allow him to warp in units down here. He chose not to make a funnel, which actually can hurt Protoss sometimes against Terran, to make that wall off or funnel, because all the Terran units are ranged, and it's so easy to get sight up these cliffs that you can actually lose a lot of buildings easily by trying to build a funnel up here. So TTOne moving across the map now with his first Stalker, going to take a look at what MorroW is choosing to do. He did lose his probe here earlier, so MorroW actually adding a tech lab on now to his factory and getting that starport up. Would not be surprised to see a switcheroo or you know, getting that starport over on that tech lab sooner than actually building a tank or anything. And he has added a reactor to his barracks. We did not see that against Chef until later on in the game, so looks like he is going to try and prepare more infantry against his Protoss opponent than he would against his Zerg. And MorroW is actually one of my favorite players in the beta, not because he wins all the time, but because he is very, very good at multitasking. He's really good with drops and things like that, splitting your attention, and it's just admirable, because no matter how good these players are, they're still not anywhere they're going to be in the next year, and I think MorroW's just a little bit ahead with his multitasking skills, getting all those drops and being in your face at the same time. So he is going to get a tank out and look to kill some Protoss units with that in the near future. He's also getting a Hellion out now. He's spending all his gas basically on this first Raven coming out of the starport, and TTOne has chosen to try and expand over here after only getting a handful of units. He's only got a couple of Stalkers and a Zealot up right now. He is going to actually add on on 2 more gateways for the time being and a robotics facility, so probably lots of Stalkers and Immortals. I'm not sure what TTOne has seen out of MorroW. Looks like he hasn't even seen the factory, but tanks are a big part of MorroW's play, and if TTOne studied his replays at all, he's going to know that. So Stalkers and Immortals do very well against these tanks. He is going to get his Observer first. That's good, so he can check out everything that MorroW is up to. MorroW actually did get a kill there a second ago against a Stalker, I believe, so sorry for missing that, but it was just a Stalker. He's trying to figure out what MorroW's doing and gain some scouting information, but TTOne doing the same thing MorroW did, basically build one supply thing over here, pylon or supply depot, just to keep an eye on these destructible rocks, so if someone does choose to start breaking them down, you can hear it and be able to see it. And looks like MorroW's going to fly his Raven around, going to try and do a little spying on TTOne. MorroW doesn't have any plans for expansion at the time being. He's just cranking out units. He's got tanks, Marines. That after that Raven finish, he chose to build a medevac, always an excellent compliment for all these Marines. Medevacs improve the longevity so much of those very cheap Marines. It's really, there's no reason not to get medevacs. So looks like TTOne's still moving around with his Observer, going to see what he can see. Raven looks like he's discovered TTOne's expansion, and that's all he's really worried about at the moment. Did not look like he got any more view of his base, so he doesn't know about the robotics facility or the multiple gateways. TTOne actually is really known for doing multiple gateways, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if MorroW's done some research as well. So we'll just have to see. Both these players very studious and kind of know what the other player does a lot of times, so we'll have to see how they've prepared for each other in their initial builds. Looks like MorroW's here with 17 Marines, 3 tanks, and a medevac against just some Stalkers and Zealots. These Zealots aren't going to do much without charge, as these tanks can shell them from afar, and the medevac, of course, can heal basically uninterrupted unless he's focus fires with these Stalkers. An Immortal on the field, that is going to help. These Zealots are chopping through these Marines here in the front row. The medevac can't really heal them all at one time, so they are going to be the bulk of MorroW's losses. It looks like that Immortal was taken down, and the excellent point defense drone able to shoot down lots and lots of laser beams from these Stalkers. So MorroW using his defensive skills to try and stay alive here, and he was able to keep 2 of his tanks alive against that Immortal and focus it down quickly. The medevac's still alive even with some energy, so able to retreat and keep the healing up, while TTOne forced to pull all of these probes, going to lose lots and lots of mining time from 12 different probes, and now he's losing them carelessly. He might as well pull them back. I don't see him getting many kills with these remaining Zealots and Immortal, so did not see another point defense drone go down. He does not have the energy for it at the moment, but of course it is a really, really good skill for when he does have the energy. Instead, he is going to use the rest of that Raven's energy to drop an auto turret and finish off that Immortal. So MorroW still flooding in units from his base. He's got a couple of Marauders here now on the field too. TTOne also keeping up with his production. If we watch the production tab, it looks like MorroW's way ahead, but TTOne warps in all his units at the same time, so really it's kind of negligible. The Raven finally does go down. Looks like the Stalkers were able to focus it. It didn't have any energy left anyway, so it wasn't really being that helpful. The Marauders are probably going to go down here, and MorroW's going to have to decide if he wants these tanks to live much longer. He should probably back off, and there he goes, setting up sort of defensive position here in the middle, waiting for more reinforcements to arrive. It looks like he's sending tanks and Marauders and Marines all the time, and TTOne warping in 3 units at a time whenever he can. More Zealots here now and another Immortal to help against those tanks. So both players revealing to each other what their army compositions are. It looks like neither player is going to be doing any crazy tech to switch off of what they've already been doing, so basically it's going to be who can produce the most units in the right combinations. And a Banshee now on the field for MorroW. He chose not to build a second Raven. He is also going to try and expand at his natural now, since TT1's been mining for a while, not uninterrupted, but still been mining there for a while. MorroW wants to keep up. He does not want to let TT1 have any advantages, so looks like he's going to scan to see if there's any units in position. There are not, so he's going to go ahead and start trying to knock down this front and try and get this expansion taken out. However, TT1 had all his units right up there on the ramp at his main, so he's going to move out with all these Stalkers and Zealots and